Welcome back, everyone, to the FloTrack podcast. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Thanks for tuning in. We're recording this, as always, at 9 a.m. Central Sharp, live before a YouTube studio audience. I'm Kevin Sully, and joining me, the director of the Ben True Workout Snyder Cut, it is Gordon Mack. Good morning, Gordon.
Yeah. Longest Workout Wednesday, I think, in the history of Workout Wednesdays. It's up on our site. It'll be on YouTube shortly as well. 48 minutes long. Who would have thought we could make it that far? That's like longer than an episode of Game of Thrones. And it's a Ben True workout. 5x2K plus 600 at the end. Gotta love it.
Listen, Ben True, he's up there in the Northeast. Not a lot of people pay attention to him. So this is a good behind-the-scenes look at what he's up to in pursuit of an Olympic team. He ran that fast 10K not too long ago. I'm going to dive in. I'm going to need to clear out my schedule, though, because, again, this is over 40 minutes of a workout. I'm going to dive right in when I have some time in my schedule and watch Ben True click off some 2Ks. This is exciting. Any insight you can give us about the workout? Anything we should look for?
I got to meet his training partner, which is a unique situation. He trains with Dan Kurtz, formerly of Iowa State, who I think I heard that he's like basically a full-time training partner. It's this cool little dynamic that they have to like kind of how he navigates the non-sponsored era of his career. Kind of interesting. I asked him a few questions about that at the end of the workout. So if you can make it through the full 48 minutes, you get the little interview at the end. So you got to stick into it. But he looks fit. It wasn't like a barn burner workout, but not every workout's supposed to be like that. It was just a solid workout. And I think he can make 10K team. I have him ranked third in our rankings. And I think he's figured out the 10K. He's able to get a fast time when he did that at the Sound Running Meet. He's a gamer. I mean, he made the world team in 2019. Again, he wasn't top 3. He got in because of people pulling out, like Drew Hunter had a scratch because of injury and stuff like that. But hey, I think he's motivated. He's going a whole year and a half, like 2 years potentially, of running without a sponsor after having a sponsor for his entire career. He's definitely motivated. He has a baby coming on the way. I got to meet his wife. Yeah. She's super pregnant in the video. You can see her. So yeah, overall, great workout. Check it out. We have the clip here. I want to show a little clip from workout as Ben getting some warm up. Look at that footage.
A little behind the scenes. A Gordon Mack special there, a little side shuffle. I used to warm up like that. Some skipping going on here. So this was New Hampshire, correct?
Yeah, New Hampshire, about an hour away from Boston, because I was in Boston filming a different workout, so I drove up. It's like this random small school track, middle of nowhere. You'll see this when it comes through. There's a lacrosse bro who's like practicing lacrosse in the middle of the field. Wait for it. Here he is, and he's not there. There he is. Boom, lacrosse. Yeah. So it was fun. It was a fun workout. Super chill. It was kind of cool. It's a small like D3 school, and there was like a coach there who's like this older gentleman who had a lot of like old school like track apparel on, and he was like freaking out that Ben True chose to like work out on his track. He was like, because I was there, and he's like, "Why are you here? Who are you?" I was like, "I'm with FloTrack. I'm filming a workout." Oh, he's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, Ben True's." He's like, "Ben True's coming?" And then he got really excited. He like watched the whole thing, was like asking questions. So it was overall a good workout. Yeah, check it out.
You did a good job. I believe that in the background there was the highest point in all of New Hampshire behind him when he was running those reps. Picturesque track there.
Yeah, picturesque track. Colby, what's the name of I should give a shout out to the name of the track. Colby, I think something. Colby. How? I feel bad. I should know the name of the track. New Hampshire D3 school.
That should narrow it down.
I'm Googling New Hampshire D3 schools.
Well, while you Google,
Colby Sawyer. Colby Sawyer was the name of the school in New London, New Hampshire. Colby Sawyer. So big shout out to them.
All right. On the site, on the YouTube page, tomorrow, as people know who've been tuning into the show, we're releasing a Flow film every week. First week is Jenny Simpson. You can check that out. Then it was Justin Knight. This week, it's Trayvon Bromel's turn. His Flow film will be unlocked on our YouTube page. You can check that out. And we have an interview coming with Trayvon on, Thursday. You talked to him yesterday.
Tomorrow.
The interview's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, guys, sit down with him, talk about the film. He gave some pretty interesting tidbits, talked about his season, his thoughts on his chance in the 100-meter dash, and gave me some interesting behind-the-scenes looks on it when he first turned pro. Basically, he had a car addiction and he goes into detail. It's kind of wild. So check out that interview when he talks about basically when someone gives him a lot of money at a young age at 19 in cash, he's going to do some crazy things with it. And his crazy thing was buying cars. So, and he goes into detail about that. It was kind of funny. He said he has since sold a bunch of them back, but in the height of the moment, he was like, what am I doing? Why am I collecting all these cars? So.
Did you ask him about the 200 last weekend?
Yeah, he said him and the 200, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. You get to be in the right mindset for it. He's all in on the 100. I asked him what's your confidence level? He says he didn't want to reveal it, but the times I'm running in practice, we have fully automatic timing in practice. I'm ready to go. So he's I think he's definitely one of the best. So, I mean, he's going to run this weekend. He's running this weekend in Eugene. We'll see. The weather might be iffy, but I asked him, are you fit? Are you healthy? Are you mentally healthy? He's like, oh, yeah. He was super, confident. He wasn't coming off an injury or anything like that. So
people can check that one out tomorrow. The episode will drop on Thursday of the pod and also the Bromel film. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go onto the YouTube page and watch it there tomorrow. And then we'll be back on Friday, obviously, with our regular live pod at 9 a.m. Central. You brought up the Eugene meet. I want to start there. Let's start in with the Eugene meet coming up this weekend because they released the start list, at least for the collegiate part of this, Gordon. And the headline here, man, you're going to like this, Gordon. You're going to like this. Guess what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about the men's 5,000 Hawker, Tier, Kiptoo, Kurgat. It's all happening.
That's a great leadway. Am I supposed to respond to that? It's all happening.
You're just speechless. You're just speechless. I was setting the table for you to come up with they're going to break the collegiate record or say something crazy at this point, which
I
would
will
be
say
hard.
this, we have the entries. So you can put them up on the screen. Are they on the screen? There was one entry that kind of threw me off at first. If you scroll to the top, entry number 1, this might be inappropriate, but I thought it was a typo. I thought they just said Kenyan Abdi, and I was like, I felt like that was a little messed up, but it was really a Keenan Abdi. Great name. How do you say that?
Okay.
Keenan Abdi?
I got to be honest, I can't see that well.
Oh, you can't see
so
it.
I have no idea what it says. Go ahead.
It's fine. Anyway, I thought it was a funny first name. Just that's a side note, regardless. But yeah, Cole Hawker.
Talk about the 5,000, Gordon. Talk about the 4 of the big. What do we calling them? The big 8 or something in the men's 5,000 this year, and we get to see them.
It's big 55. I mean, it's
big
ridiculous.
50. No, there was that initial list that you had, and you had everybody's resume, and I think there were 8 names on that. Mance was on there as well. You had Kiptoo, Kurgat. I didn't even think we had Hawker on there because we just assume Hawker's going to run the 1,500.
Yeah, I mean, what do we have currently in the rankings for the top 8? We'll bring those up. We have a new side producer, our boy Travis Miller out there helping us with getting some graphics up. But there's our current rankings: Grijalva 1, Tier 2, Kurgat 3, Kiptoo 4, Herrera 5, Nico Young 6, Amoy Kembo 7, and Connor Mance 8. So seeing Kiptoo, Kurgat, and Tier, basically 2, 3, 4, all running in this race. They have yet to run the 5K this season. Throwing Cole Hawker, who almost beat Centrowitz in a 5K back in December. It's going to be a good race. Who do you think? Also, there's some low-key other good, the Stanford guys are in this meet, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not even just going to be that big four show. Like there's going to be other people like sneaking in who are pretty good. I think there's going to be a lot of like 1340 caliber guys who are going to come out of this race running 1330s because the Hawkers, the Tiers, the Kip 2s are going to be in the 1320s to potentially 13 teens to kind of pull them all through. So it is going to be a wild fight. Like by the end of this race, dude, you could be like 50th in the country and be like 1340. It's going to be insane.
Okay. Well, you can focus on the 1340 people. I want to focus at the top here because I'm looking at the all-time NCAA list. Number 5 all-time outdoors, according to USTFCCCA, is Lawi Lalang's 1318. How many people do you think will run under 1318 in this race?
I mean, 4, right? You got to believe the Iowa State duo and the Oregon duo can all run under 1318, which is insane. Lawi Lalang could go from 5th all time to 9th all time in one race. I mean, do you think that's a crazy statement to say all 4 could break 1318?
Not a crazy statement at all. My only reluctance would be we might get in a situation where 2 of them are just running to qualify, or maybe 3 of them are just running to qualify, and one of them goes out there as to set the world on fire, but there's nobody else with them. But certainly all 4 of them have the capability to run that quick. All 4 of them have the capability of running even higher up that list. 1308 from Henry Rono, number 1. Bit of a reach, bit of a stretch, not impossible by the end of the season. I would be surprised if that happens on Saturday in this race. But if you told me that on Monday we were talking about 4 new guys in the top 5 all time, no. I mean, look at what Hawker did indoors. Look at what Cheer's already done in the 5,000. Look at what Kip2 did in the indoor meet with no competition. Look at what Kurgat's resume looks like. No, not at all. It's just a matter of, are they all going to work together to bring the best out of each other, or is it going to be a situation where they're all running and looking around at each other trying to just get a win? But we don't know that, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, while there is the need of getting a top 32 mark, which isn't really much for these big 4, there is the Olympic standard. That's something that Cooper Tier and maybe even Cole Hawker are going to want. Hawker maybe not as much because he's kind of be focused most likely in the 1500, but it's good to have multiple standards in your back pocket. What is the Olympic standard? Bring it up. Oh, 13.5. Right, 13.5. So in the US in the 5K, let's bring that up. This hasn't been updated 100% up to date, but if you screen that over, I mean, there's a bunch of people who already have the 1313. I mean, Fisher there, 1302, Zulimo 1304, Bohr 1305, McGordy 1306, Klecker, then Kip Churcher, True's there, Jenkins, Arasa, and then people on the world rankings. So Tier and Hawker aren't on that list. They could probably get on that list if they run 1313. I can see the dynamic of Tier, most importantly, is probably really eyeing that Olympic standard. Throw in a Kip2 who runs out of his mind, will go out in 60 seconds no matter what. Throw in the idea that Kurgat is not going to want to lose to his teammate. On the fact that Cole Hawker is going to be like, screw it, let's have some fun. All 4 of them, as a result, should run in the 13 teens. That's what I think.
So the domino that makes this whole thing go is Cooper Tier wanting the Olympic standard, and that sets into motion a chain of events which leads to 4 guys in the top 5 NCAA all time. I could prescribe to that theory. There's also the possibility. It is weird. If you were just going for an NCAA qualifier, all of these guys obviously are capable of doing that in their sleep, of getting into the top 32 in the region. You think, okay, I don't need to do that in this big of a meet. I can just do that in a smaller setting, especially if you're Iowa State. Why go all the way out there if you're not going to take advantage of the conditions and the competition? Someone pointed out in the chat, Funky Jam Dude, who's blowing up the chat right now, there have been out of season times that are faster than Henry Rono's 13:08. There's actually been 4 performances. Lawi Lang's 13 flat, 13:03, 13:07, and Eric Jenkins' 13:07. But if you're talking about in season, 13:08, Henry Rono is the number one mark, according to the USTFCCCA. I like that theory. I think there's something to that, because how many opportunities is he going to have to run the Olympic standard? And we've talked about it before. If you want to be a factor at the trials, you need to have the Olympic standard. It's tough to try to navigate top 3 and get an Olympic standard. This would seem to be a good shot for him. I wonder, though, Gordon, if we're going to see a bit of a mid-season lull in the distance performances, because people got going so quick indoors. They carried that through to the beginning of outdoors. Does it dip down a little bit before it gets going again, before we get to the apex of the season in June?
See, I think that is more likely to happen in sprint events. I feel like a lot of times the sprint events come off a high going into like Texas relays, and they kind of get that fast mark early. And then the April is kind of the slower, like, nothing much going on. And then they peak again once SECs comes around and prelims and nationals. Whereas distance, it's like, if you don't have the mark, I mean, I can see them only be like, hey, this is our only 5K before prelims at NCAA, so let's just get it now and then focus on running some fast 1500s, some fast whatever, like 3Ks, so they're not like overstraining themselves. Because, like none of the NAU guys have run their 5Ks or 10Ks yet, right? They've been waiting till now to do that type of stuff. The Oregon guys, I mean, Cooper Tier, he hasn't run his 5K yet. Slowly, I think. For the distance-wise, I think now is when we might start seeing some quicker 5K performance, because the Iowa State guys haven't run it yet, Oregon guys haven't run it yet, the NAU guys haven't run it yet. I think it's.
But we did see that Hayward premiere. We did see those times pop off with the Hayward premiere right after.
Yeah, but none of them were from Oregon or NAU or Iowa State, right? I mean, look at the list that we have right now. It was the BYU Colorado show. Stanford started getting theirs in. I mean, look at that list right now. How many guys have broken 1330? 5 guys. So, yeah, I think it's now time for Iowa State, Oregon, and NAU to kind of extend that list, basically.
Yeah. Another race I want to talk about happens today, so we got to talk about it quickly. Travis is going to have to clip this one, just put it up on the site like right now. But it's what I'm calling the most consequential USATF men's road mile in history, because we have Engels versus Murphy on the men's side of things. Women's headlined by, I think you'd say, Rachel Schneider be the favorite. I mean, I want to see Alexa Ephraimson in there now that she's training with Pete Julian. But Engels v. Murphy, former teammates. I'm excited to see this road mile. And listen, road mile, again, doesn't get a lot of love. Does not get a lot of love. We have we can pull up the start list here too. Ryan Hill in this thing. So this should be a fun one. Gordon, you got a pick?
I think I don't have a pick. No pick. But my thoughts are, it is a Clayton Murphy litmus test race. We haven't seen him in a long time. We saw him a little bit in the 800 indoor.
Once.
I want to see once. I just want to see what he is right now. If he goes in there and is like his usual self, it's going to be like, all right, the 1500, he's a potential sneaking in to run the 1500. We talked about that. Could he do a 15-800 double to kind of double his odds at making an Olympic team? I'm just most excited to see how good he is. Is he up there with Engels? Is he able to blow away the field in the final 150, 200? Because after Engels, it's kind of not that crazy, right? After Engels and Murphy. I mean, Hill, he's not really a 1500 meter runner anymore.
Yeah.
Pat Casey's kind of more of a 1338, 39 guy. Avila, same thing. Alvarado, kind of same thing. So I think we will have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we don't know. You're right. We don't know where either of these guys are out. Murphy runs the 148 indoors. I mean, you put that tweet out that you talked about where he was 100% right, nothing mattering except for where you're at the Olympic trials. From Engel's perspective, he ran a couple indoor 800s and then ran the 1336 in Austin in the 5K. But no one's looking at Engels' 5K time and extrapolating what he's going to be able to do at the trials. And nobody's looking at an indoor 800 from Clayton Murphy and thinking, okay, this is for sure what he's going to do in June. Now that we're 2 months away, again, I think we're getting to the most consequential road mile here, Gordon, in recent memory.
So you're calling it the most consequential road mile, but Clayton Murphy has already said, go back, put that tweet back up, in 9, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. So he could get first or last in this most consequential Kevin Sully themed road mile, and it won't matter. So
listen, I'm just trying to hype the road mile. I got to admit, I don't have the entire history of road miles in front of me. You have to be really deep in the weeds to know exactly the history of every single road mile. But anything that's only 8 weeks before the trials is going to take on greater significance. And then you have two guys who are qualifier level, have made teams before in their respective events. I want to see it. I think it could mean something. I think it could actually mean something this time. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, I think a bunch of these people are coming back and doubling back to run the 1500 on the track.
At Drake.
See. At Drake.
Is this Drake? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, on the final day, Avila, everyone, they're all running a 1500. Throwing Robbie Andrews, Rob Napolitano, our favorite runner. And same thing on the women's side. So I feel like they're kind of getting like simulating like rounds in a way. You got your road mile, and then a few days later, you have another 1500 to kind of train your body what it's like to put 2 hard efforts in back to back against a tactical field. So I think that'll be kind of good for both the men and women all around.
You found someone else in the start line at Drake. They tried to sneak it past us, Gordon. They tried to do the classic misdirection play here, but you being an Eagles fan and being a devoted follower of the Philly Special, you know where to keep your eyes trained. You got Nico Young scampering to the right when everybody's going over here to the left to run at the Drake Relays 5K. Is anybody else running this from NAU, or is this just a Nico special?
Well, first of all, if you look at the NAU Athletics website, there's no mention of Drake Relays anywhere on their schedule. But they are sending 3 guys to the 5K. In Nico Young, Abdihamid Nur, and Blaise Farrow. I think this could probably be in connection to their coach is marrying Rachel Schneider, who's running there in the 1500 and the miles. So kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can kind of see your future wife run and also coach your future Olympians in the 5K. That's what I think. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's kind of zigging and zagging. It's a good field, and it probably prepares them. They don't need to be thrown in with the wolves with, Tier, Hawker, Kip, Kurgat.
Right.
But also, it could have been maybe they couldn't get into that meet. Maybe Drake Relays was an easier meet to get in.
Hold up.
And it kind of gets the same job.
They couldn't get into the meet? They couldn't get into the Oregon meet after Nico, what he did in cross country. Abdihamid Nur, Blaise Farrow can't send him the cross country race video and say these guys need to be in the fast heat. You really think that's the case?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's hard to get in some of these meets. They probably like, hey, no, we gotta let all the Pac-12 schools in. They're not. I guarantee you, they probably like had priority of order of like who's already. I don't think everyone is like just being like, just because you're fast, you're in. Not all schools. Do you think Oregon is like begging to have NAU at their meet? No, they're begging to let Tier and Hawker win. That's what they want.
Well, then they shouldn't have let Iowa State in the meet either. I mean, you could take that to an extreme viewpoint. So it's not the Nico misdirection. It's the Nico Nur Farrow misdirection. Yes. Everybody going one way, they're going the other way. I kind of like it. I got to admit, I kind of like it. So who else? Can you put that start list up again? I want to see who else is in that field. Can we scroll on that? Is that possible to scroll? I know I might be getting too ambitious here, but did I see a Morgan McDonald there as well,
Yeah.
too. I see
So
a Reed Fisher, Leonard Career. Dude, this is a fast race. This is a fast
yeah,
race. So this one might be
Kieran
as
Lum,
quick as
he's
the other
good.
one. Yeah, Ben Flanagan, Guillermo Macheso is solid. This is a good race. I see a 13:18
Parsons, Womack.
PB there. Yeah, with Endo there. Is this one going to be quicker than the one in Oregon?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I think it still will be quick. I think it'll probably be a winning time in the 13:20s. That's what low 13:20s. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. I
I'm not sure.
I think it's.
Yeah, that's what I would.
We'll never know the answer to this because nobody would tell us the answer, and no one really cares other than me and you and maybe 6 other people. But I would love to know if they literally did not let NAU into the this meet at Hayward. Sorry, man. Nico who? Abdihamid who? I don't know who. Nope. Sorry. Got to let all these other Pac-12 people in. PB is
I
just not
mean,
good
it
enough
could be
there.
a thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll
Maybe you
start
got to
rumor.
finish. You got to finish top 3 in cross country to guarantee yourself a spot. Was that the cutoff? Come on. I want to know though. If
I
anybody
think the
knows,
cutoff is first
send me
comes,
a
first
message.
serves to Pac-12 schools. That's what I think the cutoff was.
Okay, but all right, that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right, World Relays, is that this weekend?
No, it's next weekend.
It's next weekend.
No one's running it. Well, at least
Yeah, no,
USA's
U.S. is not
running it.
running. U.S. isn't running it. Jamaica isn't running it. You look at the release for this meet, and it's the names that they're promoting. You're already like, okay, this is not the World Relays that we remember. And I'm a big proponent of World Relays. I didn't go like you did. I'm assuming you liked it because you got to go to the Bahamas. This year it's not in the Bahamas, but this year it's going to be a rough one. No U.S., no Jamaica, and as of yesterday, Jamaica was in. I don't know. I want to get all up in arms about it. Oh, the U.S. should be sending a team, but I also don't really see a purpose given this current situation. And I remember, was it the World Half Championships that they pulled out of last year?
Yes.
Okay. Which at the time we're like, okay, interesting decision. A lot of countries are going. But do we remember that at all? Like, I had to just ask you right now. It was the World Half Championships, right? Because even in the best of years, the U.S. often doesn't send their strongest core of half marathoners. They send some good half marathoners. Sometimes you get the best half marathoner, but you don't get every spot filled up by the best people in the United States from the top of your team to your bottom of your team, right? There's a lot of people who pass on that spot. So it's hard to get upset or exercise when they skip a meet or a competition that they don't take seriously, even when they send a full complement of athletes.
Kevin, I hate to break it to you, but World Championship is not the global outdoor event does not have the best of the best. I'm including World Relays, World Half, World Marathon if they ever World Marathon, yeah.
World Championships. Yeah.
World Indoors, World Cross Country. None of them have top to bottom the best of the best except for the global championship. And the reason why is because our sport, like Clayton Murphy said in his tweet, no one cares about it except for the one moment at the end. And it's just the way it is. World Athletics can try to create all these events that aren't world championships, but until they are looked at as equal to a world global title, they will never be equal in the minds of the athletes because the athletes' minds purely are associated with their contract. And I don't think Nike is writing any signing bonus for a top 10 finish at World Half or a gold medal at the World Relays.
Yeah. No, I 100% understand. I'm talking about this year specifically, though, 2 months before the trials, when people don't really want to travel. It's an even tougher ask, so I understand why they're not going at all. They do have, I don't know if we have the start list up again here. I want to zoom in. This is the event I'm going to watch at the World Relay since the U.S., Jamaica, they're not running. Go all the way down. We got the Shuttle Hurdles Relay. I think only 4 countries are represented, but that's going to be my you know how people really obsess over curling at the Winter Olympics? This is going to be the event that I really get into. There's not many teams in it. I think it's only 4. It's tough to run a shuttle hurdle relay, right? Because you take up a bunch of lanes doing it. You can't. It's not like you can put 8 teams on the track to do it. So we're left with just a small group here of, let's see who's in it. Germany. Well, Jamaica was in it, so they're out. Germany, Kenya, and Poland. Just 3 teams here. Germany,
So I think that
Kenya,
I think
Poland.
the entries we're looking at are by country and not by event. So that's probably why. But
okay, well, I got it right here.
If
And it's mixed gender too. So Germany, Kenya, and Poland, 3 teams you think about when you think of the best hurdle nations in the world. I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat. I might try to see if I can gamble on this one.
There's 4 teams, right? You said?
Well, Jamaica scratched, I'm assuming.
So there's only 3 teams now.
Yeah, Germany, Kenya, Poland. That's it.
So I mean,
they all medal.
That award ceremony is gonna be hilarious. They're just gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Hey,
I'm all in.
Why did they should cancel the event? No.
The difference between gold and bronze in this relay, Gordon, is everything. Don't take this from me. This is my event in this.
This reminds whenever we're gonna see whatever governing body tweets out like their congratulations to the 3rd place shuttle relay team. It's gonna remind me of SIDs when they talk about like cross country championships, like so and so university finished 29th at the NCAA championships as like 29 out. They never leave out that it was 29 out of 31 or like led by a top 50 finish out of like 60 runners. You know, SIDs are really able to make a performance that would last feel like a notable performance. We're gonna see that from the 3rd place shuttle relay country. It's Twitter account.
Yeah. Someone brought up a good point in the chat, mixed gender, so they have to switch the hurdle heights or what? I mean, they're going to have to take up a whole bunch of lanes is what you're going to have to do, which you have to do anyway in the in shuttle hurdle relays. Yeah, it's interesting. So the 2x2x4, like Belarus only has 2 people entered, which is, well, I mean, they don't have any alternates entered. So it's just like those 2 or nobody, because all these other countries have 4 people entered. So if something happens to one person, then they're going to be in a rough spot here. I'm trying to think of like who the best actual like team is. Is it Belgium rolling with the Borleys? It probably is in any of these relays, correct? Like the most in common with the actual championship relay team. I think it's the Borleys here. Yeah.
Is my boy Correa running? I think he is.
In the 4x4? Or the mixed gender 4x4?
Is he mixed gender or is he doing?
We'll probably see a legit Emmanuel Career is in the he's entered in the mixed gender 4x4.
Okay.
And he's not in the see, why not put him in the 2x2x4? He's the perfect candidate. Brazier has explained this before. Donovan Brazier has explained this before. You put the 800-meter runner in the 2x2x4. You don't put the 400-meter runner in it. So I got a lot of notes, basically, for World Relays this year. I have a lot of things I'm looking for and a lot of questions. I just hope no one on Belarus's 2x2x4 gets injured of the 2 people, because that would be tough. I want to tune into that mixed gender shuttle hurdle relay. That's going to be interesting. And I'm, of course, I'm going to second guess Kenya's decision to not put Emmanuel Career on that 2x4. I bet we'll see like a decent 4x1 from some team, some like France or somebody will put out a solid time. Some countries run this because this qualifies them for the world. Like they use this as qualifying for the world champion. The U.S. never has to worry about that because they put any 4 people out at Texas Relays, and that's the USA qualifying time. Excuse me, I just knocked my mic. But other countries use this as a method to qualify.
Yeah, I think we have a video. Let's show that video of Brazil's 4x1. They were running at Brian Clay. We're
getting really fancy with the production.
Look at this. Yeah, for those who don't know, we're trying to enhance our podcast by having some more visuals. We got Travis thrown in some assets to make the live show more viewable than just Kevin's face and my face. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Brazil, I mean, this is them running against basically a bunch of D2 schools, right? So they're much better, right? I mean,
This is good
man,
analysis. They're much better than some D2 schools. Yeah, Brazil does a training camp down in Southern California. So they didn't travel there just for this race. They've been based out of there. But that's their qualifying. We don't really engage that much with this sort of stuff because it's just assumed the US is going to qualify in the 4x1, the 4x4, but other teams, other countries oftentimes have to get their best group together and run early season meets in order to get a qualifier. Anything else you're looking for at the World Relays?
I really wish. I thought Jamaica was going to still be there, but now that Jamaica's not there, it's really slim pickings for the marquee. Like, who are they going to put on the graphic for like promoting this event?
Well, this is who they have. They have Pavel Maslach, Femke Bol, and Akane Simbine are in the lead of the World Athletics release. They had Elaine Thompson-Herah in it, but then Jamaica scratched. But even with her, I was looking at the men's side of things. Johan Blake was not running. On the women's side, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price wasn't running. Again, even if teams didn't scratch, I don't think the people that represented the teams would have been as good as they've been in the past. And in the past, it's been good. Hasn't been great. It's been good at previous editions of the World Relays. I'm excited for it to come back in full force. I hope they put it back in the Bahamas. Why? Because I want Gordon to show me around the Bahamas. I don't know if that's in the budget for 2022, 2023, whenever we have the meet again. No, it's not. Okay, I'm being told it's not in the budget. Okay.
Here's the question. Here's the question. Ready?
Do it.
Houston men, 38.49. LSU women, I've run 42.87. This is at 4x1 times 4x4. North Carolina A&T's run 3 flat 23. And Arkansas women have run 3:26.63. Those are the top times in the NCAA. The 4x1.
My answer is no.
4x4.
I know what you're asking, and my answer is no.
What place will those marks be at the World Relays?
First, and first. They're going to run fast. I don't think they're going to run that fast. And that's not a controversial opinion. Is that a controversial opinion?
A bunch of college kids are going to be faster than...
You keep calling kids in the
World Relays champion.
You keep calling athletes in the NCAA a bunch of college kids, as if it's you and 3 of your dorm buddies at Johns Hopkins. This is the best athletes in the world. Hey, and it's international too. It's not even one country. You're getting the best people from the ages of 18 to 22. Which, if you're running a 4x4 and you look at the median age of how fast people run the 400, 18 to 22 is close to the sweet spot. So no, it does not. It will surprise me if someone runs a faster time than those college performances. Prove me wrong.
I think a country should be better than a school. That's all I'm saying. No, you're a whole freaking country, and you can't be better than a campus. Come on.
I mean, that's sort of oversimplifying it, especially with a smaller country and a school that recruits people
smaller
from
countries
all over the world.
The smallest country is probably the size of like 50 college campuses, right?
But you don't
know. Maybe more.
That's not. But no, you're selecting people from all over the world. It's not like they got a random group of people who showed up at Johns Hopkins and said, you run the 4x4. They're pulling people from all over the world to come to their campus. And where are you going, really? How many schools are you splitting the talent between, really, when it comes to the 100 and the 400? Who are recruiting at that elite level, right? You're not seeing an elite 100 guy go to NAU, right? You're not seeing an elite. Well, I mean, it could happen.
Don't criticize
running with the boys.
Sprint recruiting, you never know.
Running with the boys, season 4. That'd be awesome. Just all these altitude marks. Guys just running 9.6s all the time in the dome. Right. So it's not split between that many. It's not split between that many people. Okay, we have the list right now. So China is ahead of Houston right now for the all-time mark. That is funny to look at. China, Houston, Brazil, LSU. The age-old rivalry between Brazil and LSU. Yeah, I don't see it.
No?
Well, you have one country ahead of them. I just don't see it at these World Relays it happening. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and we'll get a fast track. We'll
I
see.
mean, I
All
agree
right,
with you. I don't see it happening either, but I think that's kind of sad that a
you
country can't
underrate.
beat
You
a
know,
college.
you're underrating the NCAA when you say that. That's what you're doing. You're underrating how good the NCAA is relative to the general track population. Like, there's a reason
You have
why
you have low expectations of countries.
you have low expectations of colleges. So we're just gonna have to be at this impasse. I feel like I think is there a better system, or is there a more elite system right now in the world for 18 to 22-year-olds? You're not getting all the top 18 to 22-year-olds, of course, right? You're not getting Ingebrigtsen. You didn't get Bolt when he was 18 to 22, but you're getting a fair share of people, not just in the United States, but all over the world, coming and competing in this system. The talent gets spread out amongst a pool of schools, not an enormous pool of schools, but a big enough pool of schools to where it slows it down. But no, there's a reason why this is such a jumping off point to international success
Okay,
for
but
athletes.
question.
Yeah, and then we got to take this break here. Go.
Could
Go.
what place would the Baylor men's basketball team finish at the Olympic Games in basketball?
I don't know.
Do you like
I don't
the
know.
idea of like a college going up against a country? Like the country of Spain's national basketball team would probably destroy Baylor, right? Would
I
Baylor
would
win
guess,
any
yes.
games in an Olympic college Olympic basketball tournament? Would Baylor win any?
I would guess they could be competitive with is it 6 to 16 teams get in, or 12
Yeah,
teams for
16th,
Olympic
whatever, 12th, don't
basketball?
matter.
Yeah. I mean, there's different dynamics, team versus individual as well.
Yeah,
It's just
I don't
not,
know.
look, and
I
you're
agree.
you're
Ncaa
also,
is the best of the best, and I am trying to be devil's advocate here for the sake of
well,
argument, and it helps conversation go. But I do think it is kind of eye opening that countries aren't as good as schools. I don't know. It's just like, come
well,
on.
here's the thing though. But here's the issue with that. Part of the difference in the comparison there is athletes in certain events are able to, in different sports, are able to peak at different times. And I'm saying for a 400-meter runner, 18 to 22 is not rare. One. Two, with a 4x1, a lot of it depends on how many times you're attempting to do it. Right? How many times is Houston going to run the 4x1 this year versus how many times is a US A squad going to run the 4x1 this year, or a Great Britain A squad? Right? Houston's going to run it way more. How much is Houston practicing? It's a huge difference there too. Whereas Baylor basketball team and the Spanish basketball team are theoretically practicing as a team, because there's no 3-point contest at the Olympics that they're saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on the 3-point contest, and at the end of the meet, I'm going to do this team competition. Like, the whole thing is competing as a team. We got to pause there for a second. So when we come back, we're gonna run the Under Armour Performance Series of the week, where you talked with Shuttle Houlihan and Stephen Haas. And then we come back, we're going to talk about Des Linden running Boston, a steeple marks that didn't count because of a misplaced starting line. And then you're going to talk a little bit about your NCAA rankings. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, so here's this week's edition of the Under Armour Performance Series. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
And now it's time for the Under Armour Performance Series. Under Armour is more than an apparel or shoe company. They are a human performance company trying to not only make their athletes better, but everyone a better runner. In this series, we've been talking to several athletes, coaches, and trainers on a variety of topics to help improve you as a runner, from preparation, nutrition, training, and competing, and even recovery. Today's guests, we have the Under Armour Dark Sky coaches, Shayla Houlihan and Stephen Haas. Shayla and Stephen, thanks for joining us. How you guys doing?
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Living in Flagstaff. Hopefully, what's the weather like in Flag right now? Is it good? Is it bad? How's
Beautiful
Flagstaff
today.
treating you?
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful today. We finally got a little warm weather coming in. So spring's coming.
Cool. Steven, I just want to ask the first question. Dark Sky team, how did that come to be? This training group that was developed into Flagstaff and now has all these great Under Armour athletes.
Yeah, so it started as just a relationship with some of the Under Armour athletes that had chose to move here and train in Flagstaff and had signed on obviously before we had a team. Athletes like Rachel Snyder and Pat Casey and even Emily Durgan. And yeah, we had a sort of a group of athletes that were here training and working closely with the brand, working closely with sports marketing with UA. We talked a lot about how we could make this a really good environment and also really good for the brand, and collaboration between the athletes and the brand to again help with product and help bring legitimacy to Under Armour as a running company. So yeah, it sort of formed out of necessity, really. And yeah, it's a great environment. Obviously, being at 7,000 feet and being in one of the best places in the world to train, sort of a no brainer that we could have a really successful group here.
Shayla, you were in the collegiate ranks coaching. How did you come to join Steven and Flag to be part of this group?
Yeah, I had finished up my time at Cal and was looking for a new spot to kind of dive into and start something new. And me and Hass have been longtime friends and colleagues, and I kind of had reached out to him for a little bit of help. And he's like, well, I have this idea, this thing that might come full circle. And he was like super secretive about it. And it was pretty funny, but we ended up meeting at the US Championships and got to meet Jamie and Hannah and him. And we talked through their vision for what Dark Sky could be and would be and what it now currently is. And it seemed like the right fit for me at the time.
Steven, Shayla mentions Dark Sky's vision. What would you say is the overall mission and philosophy of the group?
Yeah, I think our mission is to bring really good athletes together and have an awesome training environment, and let the athletes provide all the resources to the athletes that we can to help them be successful and to help them reach their goals. We want to combine the altitude of Flagstaff. We want to combine high-end training. We want to combine, great resources with physio and massage and strength training, and then most importantly, we want to provide really quality training partners for all the athletes so that we can have them train together and work together towards reaching their goals. So yeah, that's sort of our mission and our goal here with the group. And yeah, off to a really good start in officially year one.
Shayla, tell us a little bit about the new Under Armour shoe that was just released, the shoe named Flow, not to be confused with FloTrack, but Flow, Flow. Was there any collaboration between yourself, your fellow coaches, your athletes, and kind of coming up with this new shoe design in the year 2021?
Yeah, the whole Flow line and everything that has come out has been really collaborative with our shoe people, and we've been able to do some shoe testing and give feedback, and it's almost like real-time well, it is real-time feedback that we're getting with them and being able to give them what they need to make the shoe that much better. So really, when you put on the Flow, sorry, I have it on my foot, so I'm looking at it. When you're put the new shoe on, you're gonna be able to say, hey, this is something that Pat Casey made, or Emily Durgan, or Scully was able to have input into this shoe. So it's been really awesome the first couple years being here with Under Armour and seeing the way that they utilize the athletes and utilize the feedback that they give in order to make their shoes that much better. And ultimately it's making our athletes better. So it's been a really cool collaboration for sure.
You mentioned collaboration. During the series, we talked to some of your fellow Under Armour colleagues who work on the human performance side of things, the team out in Portland. What is your relationship like with the human performance team in Portland, and how have they been helpful for you and your athletes?
Yeah, they've been absolutely awesome. We have the Human Performance Lab out in Portland, and we've been able to send athletes out there that have had some lagging injuries, and they've been really helpful just running a bunch of tests, running biomechanical analysis on them, and then really taking those movement screenings and putting them into an actual program that they can utilize on a daily basis to improve their overall functionality as an athlete. So it's been so awesome to be able to work with Mikey and Paul out there and just the whole human performance team out there.
Well, Shayla and Steve, I appreciate you taking the time to be on this podcast. Best of luck in this Olympic year. Do we know when we'll see any of your athletes running in the outdoor season?
Yeah, we'll get started here pretty soon, end of April, and then yeah, hopefully a lot in May, and then yeah, even more so in June. So yeah, hopefully last weekend of April at Drake, and potentially a couple spots in May as well. We're just trying to iron those out, but yeah, coming soon.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, and best of luck this season.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thank you.
And we're back. We have a heated discussion going on right now in the comment section, Gordon, about women's U.S. sprinting. I just want to point that out. It did not slow down during that last segment. But we are going to talk now real quick. We only got about 10 minutes left. Let's first talk about Des Linden. Announced that she's running the Boston Marathon, Gordon, in the fall, coming off the 50K performance that she had in Oregon, where she ran 2:59, first woman in history to do it. Dropping down in distance to a marathon. Anytime you can say, I'm dropping down in distance to the marathon, it's a good thing. I take it. She just does a couple strides between now and then. She's already put in the mileage, and she'll be good to go. But yeah, Linden going back to Boston again.
What do you think her chances are of winning?
I think they're pretty good for the reasons I mentioned before. The schedule being so crowded, you're not going to have as high a concentration in all the majors. We don't know the fields yet, so obviously all it would take would be one superstar person to be entering that race, which would complicate things. But there's definitely a scenario where she goes in as the person with the best chance to win this race, just because Chicago is right there, the Olympics. Obviously, some people are not going to recover as quickly from the Olympics. You have New York. You have everything happening over a very, very, very short time window, and we knew this was going to be the situation. So I think she games this stuff out, right? This is not her first time around. She knows, and she really wants to win this race. I think she's going to have a good shot. I think she's going to have a very good shot to podium, right? I think that's going to be because we know how solid she is, and the fields certainly aren't going to be as deep, but I definitely think she's going to have a chance to win this race.
So when you let's just look at the women's side. You take out the top three who are running at the Olympics, Tulamuk, Seidel, and Kipyego. Do you think the likes of Linden, Hall, D'Amato, Sisson, Taylor, Huddle, assuming Huddle, and take out Huddle or Sisson if either of them make the 10K team, do you think they're all going to dodge each other? Not the word dodge strong, but like, do you think Linden will do Boston? So then Sarah Hall's like, all right, I'm going to do either Chicago, New York, or London or Berlin. And then it's like, all right, I'll do the third option. And then Huddle will be like, all right, I'll do the New York. And so like, there'll be one top tier American at each place. You know what I mean? So it kind of be like the second best American that enters Boston will be like really the 14th best American because they're kind of all staggering themselves around.
And if they did do that, I kind of would like it. It would kind of be cool to have a featured person, a representative in every single one of these races versus, I mean, there is something to be said for having all in one race and being able to sort it out. But we had that with the Olympic trials. And with the fields the way they are, you could have people legitimately taking a shot at victory. I mean, it's going to come down ultimately to budgets, right, and schedules. And as you mentioned, track, Sarah Hall is going to run at the track trials. She's been posting about it. We know, obviously, Sisson, Huddle, Taylor, etc. Like, they're going to be racing at Cara D'Amato. They're going to be going for Olympic spots, and I think at least a couple of them will get on the team, which will impact what they decide to do in the fall. I think some people might even run in Tokyo and then come back and run in the fall. I mean, I wouldn't put out of the question that Sarah Hall does 2 of these marathons, given her predilection now for racing multiple times. So it should be pretty fun. And Lyndon, obviously, it makes sense that she's doing this. She commits early to it, has a good amount of time to prep, and as we saw from that 50K, she's still going strong.
That's right. Anything else? What else do we have to talk about? Oh, let's talk about that 3K steeple. Chad Nowak Instagrammed out a picture of him with elephants, but we have a tweet here.
Craig Nowak.
This was the initial tweet of not Craig Nowak, not Chad Nowak. The initial tweet was about Ahmed Jazir. I talked about this. I thought it was like, well, this is crazy. Steeplechase, NCAA leading 8:23 mark. And if you look at the whole list of the marks, the Tin Man guys were there. Craig Nowak ran well. He won the race and all the 8:20s. And then a few days later, I actually got a text from a coach telling me, hey, those times don't count. And I was like, wait, what? And you can see this Instagram that Craig Nowak put out, him with elephants. Great choice of photo, right? Just you and the elephants. Apparently, the starting line was 60 meters to 80 meters short of where it actually should have been. Apparently, they repaved the track, and when they put down the line, they put it in the wrong spot. Man, that sucks. It sucks for multiple reasons because, one, it sucks because the times don't count. You're like, all right, that sucks. 2, it sucks because you were like lied to yourself. Like, because you came out of that race be like, whoa, I'm an 8:20 steepler, when really you were like more like an 8:30 steepler, right? And it's like this weird feeling of like my worldview of my ability has just been flipped upside down because you had 48 hours of being like, I'm the shit. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't real. And it's like, and then you're like, well, would I be able to run that fast if I would have had the right, because also your splits are all off then. So maybe there is that idea that like you don't push yourself as hard in the beginning part of the race because you felt like you were on a good pace. All that stuff. It's just a wild thing to happen.
How short did you say the coaches were saying it was?
60 to 80 meters.
60 to 80 meters. The other part of it is some of them could have run legitimate, even if they just kept going and ran the full distance, they were on pace to run solid efforts or at least get the qualifying times that they needed to get. And now they're going to have to worry about it and do it all over again because the entire thing is scrubbed. It's not like they're going to give them a conversion and say, okay, you ran 8:30. Well, we'll just add in a bunch of time and then you're still going to be in a good spot. Man, stuff goes sideways in the steeple a lot because you got the inside water jump, the outside water jump. Sometimes they don't put the barriers on. Were you at Portland Track Festival with me that year? The right height? So 1 year at Portland Track, I believe you were there. Do you remember this? They started the race, and I think they missed a barrier, or it was at the wrong height. And I believe it was Ben Bruce that noticed, and he yelled at everybody to stop so they could restart the race before they got too far along because he knew, hey, this whole thing won't count if we keep going. So they stopped the race and then restarted it. Also, there's crazy finishes like this one. Check out this finish. This was a good steeple finish for those of you watching. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, what are we looking at? I don't know what is this, a Baylor situation? What
this
happened
is
here?
This was Big 12 a couple of years ago. This is just this crazy.
No, that's not Big 12.
Crazy. Oh, never
It's
mind. I don't know
Baylor.
what we're watching.
Yeah, I don't know what we're watching, but regardless, who cares? Yeah, I mean, steeple. You have the cone situation that happened. Remember when there was like cones misplaced at an ATL meet, and then the marks didn't count. Like you said, the Portland Track Festival where the barrier wasn't at the right height or the right spot. It just keeps. We can't get the steeplechase figured out. I think it's because it's not a uniform. It's not a uniform thing where like the hurdles is like they all go to the same place because the pit is different spots and it's different distance. The track is shaped weird. Steeple's weird,
Well,
man.
sometimes that starting line, and if you've only seen it at one track, you just assume that's where the steeple starting line is. Okay, it's about midway, a little bit closer to the 200-meter start. Yeah, down the backstretch, a little bit closer to the 200 start than where a 300 would start. But then you go to another track and it's a completely different start. And the interior and exterior water pits have a huge influence on when they hit that first barrier. It's so many things to remember. And yeah, you got to get it right. But this is a tough break. I mean, I guess the only thing you can do is then post an Instagram with yourself with elephants at that point, correct?
Maybe it's like the elephant in the room was like, hey, he's not an 820 steepler yet. Maybe, I don't know, that's what it was. But hey,
I read the whole thing.
I'm excited for those guys to get another crack at it, to be able to show that they are in shape and fit, Because again, 60 meters, what is that? 8 seconds? What is it?
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe.
8 seconds?
And that's what I'm saying. You'd almost want to be like negotiate with them. You want to negotiate with the NCAA and be like, listen, add like 12 seconds to my time. I'll take it. Just make it so that way I have this qualifying time, because that's a long way to go without having anything to show for it. Last story here. Last thing I want to talk about was your NCAA rankings. Are those up now?
Oh, they're up. They're up. They be up.
Okay.
They're up. I can tell you high level things have changed. I think it's kind of interesting on the women's team side.
It's close.
I have a tie, almost three-way tie on the women's side. 60 A&M, 60 points USC, 58 points LSU. You can't get any closer than that. I could have probably tried to fake it and like found a way to like take 1 point away from A&M and USC and 1 point more to LSU to make it all a three-way tie.
Yeah.
But it's not even just a three-way tie because Texas at 49, Georgia at 44, and then two mores at 42. Like the top 7 are all NCAA title contending teams, which is pretty good on the women's side. And then on the men's side, it's LSU by a lot. Oregon, I don't know what Oregon can do. They're going to need to do something, but LSU just has more events to do well in. Oregon loses the DMR. They lose the 3K. They don't have as good of like LSU has a good hammer thrower and they have a good, 4x1. So things that Oregon just can't do. And then after Oregon, you have basically the powerhouses, the sprint powerhouses like a Florida and USC in contention with the distance teams in Iowa State and BYU. So you have LSU, Oregon, pretty much they're going 1-2. And then you got this cool little battle between like these stalwarts like Florida, USC, Florida State going against the newcomers like BYU and Iowa State. So that's
there you have it.
The distance.
Your
That's
high level
that's happened.
Your high level rankings breakdown. If people want to see the full complement of rankings, go to the site and they're all there. Still waiting for some people to debut. I don't know how much longer we're going to wait for people to debut because the clock is ticking, but there's definitely some people who, if they start racing, could influence these rankings.
Yeah, I mean, we still have yet to see like Yair Nagus run a true 1500.
Yeah.
Not sure when we'll get that. Obviously, the NAU guys haven't run yet. Cooper Tier hasn't run his marquee event. Some of the better 10K guys haven't. Like, has Connor Mance run a 10K yet? Probably not, right?
No.
Yeah, so we haven't seen like Connor Mance in a 10K. I think we're going to see a lot of really good. Let's get ahead of it. The West Coast relays which are live on
Yeah.
Flow in 2 weeks, that is going to be a legitimate meet, not just on the college side, but on the pro side as well. And we're going to see a really fast 5Ks, 10Ks, 1500s. So
Steeples.
what else? Steeples? Yeah, with the right starting line. I'm sure we'll make sure we're starting the line at the right spot. But I'm really excited for the end of the month West Coast Relays in Fresno State. It's going to be basically a Peyton Jordan type meet because we have no Peyton Jordan this year. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com. As you mentioned before, interview with Trayvon Bromell on the pod tomorrow. Won't be live, but it'll be in your feed or on the site or on YouTube. The Trayvon Bromell film will be released tomorrow as well. Gordon and I will be back on Friday to preview the rest of the weekend action. Thanks to Alon and Travis for producing. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in live. We'll talk to you next time.